Operation from the Below, Chapter 1. Special effects are fiddly, silly things. It's like magic and illusion. A lot of people don't understand that response. When I grew up, most of the kids weren't into trying to understand. And the fact that I slept in a bed slimy with ketchup, which looked like thick blood running down all over my naked young body. And also I would take baths filled again with ketchup and add to it some large pieces of very reddish raw meat. I was a very pure boy when growing up, and a very joyful one as well, loving and laughing. But I would not say much though. I mostly kept myself quiet, locked up in my room dreaming away, as I was someone observing something under a microscope. Later, when a bit older, I wanted to create a novel with no speech, and I knew that there was that kind of a speech. A novel filled with only feelings and of love. I tried to get the alienness of culture involved in the novel in subtle ways, but that was very tricky. That is, to avoid making it look ridiculous. The novel had to speak a tongue I had invented. That concept was not evil. It was almost noble in that it was an attempt by a human being, but however crazy, to try and structure and control my own fate. On the other hand, I might have been the cause of my own destruction. I had to experiment and to try that approach in order to grow. But that experiment proved to be the dead end for me. So I went on to thinking of trying to develop myself into other things to do. One of these other things I wanted to do with any kind of art was to find out what I was talking about, what was important to me and what disturbed me. Some people go talk to close friends on the phone to do that same thing. And my dreams were also, of course, very important. It was a version of my own reality. Operation from the Below was something that I had started working on. It was something that in my mind would be my ultimate art piece. My life work, if you may. But I had a difficult time realizing why. And also why not? And that was exactly what I was trying. But people in the audience hated it. So I tried to give the project a second chance, which at this point had become from a novel into a theater play. I had changed a whole lot of things from the original script, which I had written for years and years for this project. So for the second try, I started to play with the main female character waking up screaming and all sweaty in bed to realize that she was some months pregnant. Maybe like 6 months pregnant. The thing was that nobody wanted to know that, and also nobody wanted to know how or even why. The baby had been made from this one time she had performed the sexual act with the main male character from the original script. That was very unusual for fairly extreme two individuals, unless they hated each other from the bottom of their bottomless black hearts. but in a way I had expected them to be able to act sexually hungry for each other. It must have been a very infectious style of speech and body language that had made her pregnant after all. It's something people are capable of. Like with most people, they have most all considered killing themselves or killing someone else. Whether or not they were making a joke or being serious, killing someone is the ultimate human experience, an original experience and a project from yourself and from your mind. I immediately see all sides of this matter. It can be a curse, it's the wrong way, at least if nothing else, even wrong-heartedly. But my own curse is that I can't believe in the devil, because I would have to believe in a purely evil being. On the other hand, I feel that I've met persons who I consider to be evil. I would have no problem with such a person, as I feel that the demon is that all sides appeal. I think it's more realistic, even naturalistic. I have tried a more obvious naturalistic version of it. Full blast horror, even damaging horror, which has a kind of a happy ending. Chapter 2. What people say is always right, because everything is right and there is no need to understand what is being said about anything. I myself do not understand. Whatever we were asked to understand has long since turned out to be deception. Possessed by many different thoughts and ideas, we succumb to insanity and madness, and the result is vice versa. The greatest movie actors, though, it is true to believe that they do understand, and sometimes they even say it is the real tragedy of it all. Sometimes they say it is the comedy of it all. They persist in their craft day after day, year after year, to bring home the insanity of think-tank human personality perception. When another hairless ape sees this on the big screen or media practicality, one is presented with a replacement of this madness. It is sanity, it is the removal of the jungle from the depth of human perception into the carousel of storytelling or moral wrinkles. I should no longer exist, yet every day I arrive to work at 7 a.m. I charge the insides of my mouth and nose to the silliness of what I see. My hands are stiff automation, bones that clink, tasks waiting for another tragedy from the radio news or co-worker. I find pretty girls and somewhat less pretty girls extremely sad. What do we learn from what we see? We often ask about our unhappiness. and I find it is for everyone's good. That's exactly how it feels to me. You might say I'm wrong, but you just have to understand the endless struggle between those two basically fearful and confusing reality with illusion. I tap my toes on hard surfaces and stare into the deep non-existent forests where leaves bleed and wild animals are teeth only. I must point out that you have probably seen a representation of murder, the effect of an unusual occurrence, total disaster. And to cope with mental crisis, there is television and phantom jungles marching onto the bruised soul. In a dream, I see before me myself sitting on the floor in a supermarket basement, surrounded by dented, bleeding soup cans, and thinking to myself, of course, I've never felt better. Sniffing hungrily at the reddish, bloody-looking liquid running, then wiping it off with a dirty cloth, I returned back upstairs from the basement with these carnage cans to fill my mouth with. Streaming with the sweat while I carry the heavy load with me, and while I walk the steps I remember an uneasy night which took place down in that basement a few weeks back. Drifting through my night fever I sit up in bed. I shall fall asleep later, I say to myself. And when I wake up, all will be quiet, and my tent will be empty of rampaging fangs. The whines of woods tangle my soul, adding more useless blood to a tragic, overflowing heart. frustrations every morning and not a single moment of sleep. These horrible moments of waking up and thinking that it was all just a dream, that it all felt disgusting, awful, horrific, and even perverse, that it was bad. The outcome of this was that it is suffocating me a great deal. My head comes from underneath a pillow, and my lungs are filled with the cotton from it. My nose has to be picked clean. I swim in melancholy fever joy. I wake up to my fragile glass tragedy.